the Charbonneau grave site was great. I'm glad somebody took the time to put the information up. From there, we drive the 35 miles down to Three Forks to test the water and see if those bass are biting. And of course they are. Marge is standing right where one of the many little hot springs run into the Owyhee River, so she's got nice warm water to stand in while she fishes. I guess you can't beat that. And the bass are biting too as she cranks one in toward her.
Get the net and try to land it.
Just slide him up on the beach.
Well, you may not make it that far.
Very well. Okay. He's in the moss. Well, let me give you the net. And you can lay down.
Every time we get him, we're losing.
You got him moving?
You got the net?
What do you think? Can you see him?
No.
Keep your line tight.
Maybe I'm snagged.
Is there a fish on it?
Is he big enough to feed? I guess he's big enough to feed. Oh,
yeah,
look.
he's a nice one.
Huh?
He's a nice big one.
Oh, that's a nice size one. Look. See him jump?
Yep.
He wants to get off. Well, you're in the way. I can't get him up on the shore. There. What's that? There.
Okay.
Alive.
After both of us catching our limits of bass, we surely owe it to ourselves to climb up the bank on the other side just as the sun sets to enjoy the hot springs. The Owyhee River isn't that deep, so it's easy to wade across. Then you just wade up one of the streams that are flowing out from the hot springs and climb up a few rocks, and you're there. Through the sedges and other weeds, we climb. The hot water is quite loud, where it comes crashing out of the hot springs pool down over the rocks and then spilling its liquid contents, warm water contents, right into the Owyhee River. We climb up using the rope just for precautionary purposes, but you probably could get up there without even using a rope. But we'd rather be safe than sorry. It doesn't take long, and you're at the spring. The mist from the warm water drifts over across the vegetation along the side, including some beautiful sunflowers and other things, and makes them grow real good and lush. We finally reached the hot springs pool up overlooking the Owyhee River just as the sun sinks down below the horizon. We can see the road on the other side, which we drove down. And if you look over there, you can see a few more hot springs pools that volunteers have built. And the river looks so nice down there. We can even see our vehicle, and we're camping the night, so you can see our camp setting there as well. We get in the water, and wow, is it nice. It's such nice, clean water. It looks clean enough you can drink it, and you can get back and get you a back massage that you'll never forget, right as the water spills into the pools. We had a nice night, and the next morning it's time to go test the water again. This time we're just standing up on the shore, because these bass bite really good first light of a morning. And so within a little while, we have our 5 fish per person. And so when we get our full limit, then we'll go back to our desert trailer and clean them and have us a fish feed. We can see the hot springs where we were last night, where the water comes spilling out of the springs and cascading down the rocks just across from us, plus numerous other springs come cascading off the rocks, spilling their contents right into the Owyhee River. With our 2-day limit of bass in the ice chest, we'll now make our way down through the canary grass, sunflowers, and sweet clover till we get out of the till we head up out of the canyon, and then back to our desert trailer house to fix our fish and have our fish feed that we've been promising ourselves. The woolly mullein are standing tall up next to the cliffs, as well as some sunflowers. We drive through several little hot springs that come out right on the road. It's kind of nice to walk down the road with just a pair of sandals on and feel that nice warm water on your feet. We're almost to the summit of the first little hill that we have to climb to get out of here. This is Marge's favorite place to complain about. She doesn't like this road up out of there. But as long as you take it easy, there's no problem with it. We reach our home in the desert, the trailer house, just before dark, and just outside Annette's fence on her property is a nice little herd of wild mustangs grazing away to their heart's content. Usually they run when they see us, but at this time I guess they're getting a little used to us. They just stand there. This is 3 stallions. We call them satellite stallions because they've probably been chased out of the herd. So they get together as best buddies. But if one of them gets in the herd and gets him a mare, then the fight is on. Marge snapped pictures of these stallions like there was no tomorrow. There are horses of all colors. This one we called Boots, and then there's a Palomino. They're more or less the same thing that the Spanish brought in. It's called the Spanish Mustangs, but we think these are from some of the ranches way back when they raised their brood animals out in the desert. They look in pretty good shape this year because there's excellent feed. And so they roam the desert as they choose. These horses have never had a saddle, a rope, or a bridle on them. They're just born free and live their life free. Here comes Boots in to join the rest of the herd. The herd seems to be growing, the horses are getting larger all the time because they fight for their mates, and the biggest and toughest one gets the mare, so it makes them bigger. During the night, something came in and ate our evening primrose. We're laying it on the kangaroo rats, although I wouldn't put it past those antelope ground squirrels to do the same. The herd is scattered out all across Annette's property, clear over to Twin Buttes. On our way to the hot springs, we see where the old Indian fighting 1860-something road crosses the road we're on. And these roads out here have a very old easement, so at least they won't be able to shut them down. At one time,
The wind's blowing and Coyote Lake is really putting out a cloud of dust.
there was talk about making a national park out of this, but that never happened. But if they do that, we still get to keep our... One thing that never changes here is every afternoon there's a thunder shower, and those ground squirrels definitely never lose their taste for peanuts as they scurry around, taking an occasional drink of water. And they'll move over into the shade sometimes and lay there and shuck the peanut out and take the peanut out of the hull and put it in their little cheek pouches. These are an extra special type of ground squirrel. Normally, they're a solitary animal, but where there's a source of food like this, some come from other directions. When one comes in, they must have a pecking order. Then some of the others leave. He must be the biggest, toughest guy around. From there, we move out to Coyote Lake and see where the moving rocks have made their trails. This is similar to Death Valley racetrack, where the wind and ice, when the playa is wet, cause these rocks to move around. There was a lot of confusion on how they moved at first. It was thought the magnetic pull of the earth, or possibly aliens came and moved them. But this has been proven totally false. It's the wind, and in some cases, the help of some ice. The rocks freeze in the ice, and the ice melts a little bit and floats just a little bit, and then the wind can easily blow them. With these rocks hanging down below the ice, they make an impressive trail, and this can happen on most any playa, but it's particularly nice here. Then we see some of the remnants of the Great World War II. These are practice bombs that have been exploded during World War. After we leave the playa, we hear the thunder of hooves right from the trailer house on Annette's property, see a cloud of dust, and a herd of Mustangs take to foot, putting some distance between us and them, while others don't seem to be that alarmed by us, and they just remain out grazing around on the bunch grass, sagebrush, and little weeds and things they can find to eat. Marge is definitely getting into horse photography. She's already taken thousands of pictures of these beasts out on the desert right from the little fence around the trailer house as they leisurely graze freely around. And oh boy, here comes the big Pinnacle stallion again. And everybody better stand at attention because he's important. Their manes and tails are long and in some places tangled a bit, and they whip in the breeze as they freely graze across millions of acres, going where they want, eating what they want, and doing what they want, and building their own social order amongst the herd. Again, the desert breezes whip themselves up into a fury as the wild horses graze across Annette's property on top her hill, eating what they want and doing what they want, running when they please, and standing and looking if they please. With their manes and tails gently waving in the desert afternoon breeze, these two horses just stand and look at us. I don't know what they're saying to each other, but maybe they're saying, well, I guess they're all right. They don't seem to be any big threat. So we'll just go ahead and go on about being horses. Looks like Marge is horsing around, taking some more pictures of wild horses just outside the fence. Some of them stand at attention and say, hey, take my picture. I'm a pretty horse. This time of year, these horses have it pretty good, but in the winter with all those cold winds blowing, but this area fortunately doesn't get but very little, if any, snow, so they're better off here than lots of areas, but they need to put on some fat and do it now, so they'll have some reserve for winter when everything's dried up and not so tasty. They've moved in closer for a closer look before they gallop off across the desert with the thunder of hooves and their tails and mane standing out straight behind them as they put as much distance between you and them as they possibly can. We're starting to get their confidence in a little bit as the herd gathers up and rallies, getting ready to thunder off across the desert plains.
Bye.